Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to Phoenix Rising, A Way Towards Health. I'm your host, Krista Townsend, and it's my mission to bring you information on natural and holistic healing methods, products, and services. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite healing modalities, although I wish I was a little more disciplined about doing it, but I am working on it. So you got to start somewhere, and I'm actually trying to do it once a day. So we're going to talk about meditation. And today I have with me Dena Bradford, and Dena is a certified meditation instructor, a certified herbalist, and she has training in shamanic energy healing. She also has a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration and holds a master's in health and human services. But wait, there's more. Dena is the founder and CEO of angelsandsages.com, an online business that sells bath and body products, candles, and teas made from all natural ingredients. And she is the director of operations for Longevity Medical Spa in Oklahoma City. So welcome, Dena, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good to see your face.
You too.
Yeah,
I would normally have makeup on a day like this. I just want to tell everybody this, but I'm about to get a laser facial, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to show up all natural and be present in this moment.
I love it. I love it. See, all natural. That aligns with my mission. I'm telling you.
Good stuff.
So perfect. And I do always like to mention how I know my guests. So I believe I met you through an organization called Outdoor Network.
I think so. You were one of the first people I met in Oklahoma City a very long time ago when I first got here.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's been a few years ago. It's been a hot minute. Yeah. So anyway, well, so let's get started. So first, just tell me, how would you describe meditation?
Really, I would describe meditation as the ultimate monotasking, really. You're just doing one thing at a time. Typically, that's going to be paying attention to your breath. For other people, it might be something like looking at a candle. It might be saying a word over and over again. So meditation, to me, is just the ultimate monotasking.
So like just very focused attention.
It is very focused attention. I get a lot of statements. I was going to say questions, but it's typically a statement. Anytime I bring up meditation, the first thing anyone says to me is, I can't get my mind still. And I'm like, that's great. Neither can I. It's hard to kind of get your thoughts condensed into that place of just doing one thing at a time. And we're human, so our minds are going to go all over the place. So I get a lot of statements that I just can't calm my mind. And I tell everybody that's great. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. Let's not start there.
Perfect. And I was just having that conversation yesterday with a friend, and I do want to talk about that a little bit as we get into it. Because I was telling them, and they were saying the same thing. Oh, I just can't do it. I can't get my mind to quiet. And I said, no, and you won't, because that's how the human mind works. Yeah. And so you just let those thoughts come on by, you acknowledge them, recognize them, and then just let them keep going and then refocus. And it's just like any other muscle or any training or anything you're learning. Over time, you will get more control over that, and you'll teach your mind how to quiet itself and to come back to that calm center. To me, I think it's just all about learning how to come back to a calm center, no matter what circumstances you're in, which gives you peace of mind, gives you confidence. It keeps you from reacting to others and situations. So.
It does. It does for me too. I think the biggest benefit on that line has been, I don't always realize when I'm in a chaos space or near a chaos agent, one of those situations that's going to bring up your blood pressure or whatever that might be. You do get better in time at recognizing those situations and just saying, okay, let me recenter and get my breath here. The breath is the second biggest piece of meditation, I think, that I walked away with, is just realizing, a doctor would tell you, he who controls the head controls the body, right? But a meditation point will be who controls the breath, and where your breath is also going to control that body. So in those times of chaos, recognizing that you're in it, responding and not reacting, but catching that breath is just critical to bringing everything down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So as an instructor, how do you instruct others to meditate? You know, exactly how does a meditation instructor work?
Yeah, so everybody's got different ways of teaching people. I had the fortune of working with a woman named Sarah McLean out of McLean Meditation Institute in Sedona, and she used to work with Deepak and stuff a lot. So I literally went through
Chopra.
Yeah, sorry. I went through about a 2-year program with her, and then we flew out for a week intensive, and it was interesting because she approached things in small, like little pieces, foundation building block, one on top of the other. So that's kind of how I train. I have a lot of people that think that, you know, we're going to spend about 5 minutes together and you're going to learn meditation and leave. And you really can learn how to get a meditation practice in 5 minutes. But when I teach people, I'm going to have them journal a little bit. Sounds like homework, and no one really likes homework, but it's kind of an accountability measure. So I'll meet with someone, I'll teach them a quick breathing technique, and I'll say, okay, well, go home and do this every day for 5 days. And then let's come back and put a little bit more into it, different styles or whatever that might be. Because I think the hardest thing for me and for most people that I interact with is not sitting there and saying, okay, I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes and I'm going to sit here for the 10 minutes and I'm going to do the thing. It is actually sitting there every day for the 10 minutes. That's where a lot of people fall down. So I will teach people about, I'll do a class for about 10 or 15 minutes. I'll have them show me what they've learned and then go home for a week and journal. And if they do that for a week, then we'll come back to the next lesson. And if they don't, then it's probably not the best place or the time for them and me to work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be ready to be committed to a regular practice. And I did want to talk about that as well, because I agree. I think that's probably one of the hardest things is to get people to be consistent with it. And that's where, like what I said in the beginning, that's where I fall down. But I have been getting better about allotting some time every day, trying to, even if it's 10 minutes, or I try to do at least 20 minutes, because it almost seems like it takes about that long to really get my mind to quiet down.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So how do you recommend people become more consistent? How do you overcome that challenge? Or how does someone overcome that challenge?
No, that's a great question. And to be honest with you, when I first started doing it, I had the same issues. I would go to yoga classes and do it here and there. That's why I combine kind of a journal with a timer. So if you never meditate, for me to say to you, I want you to sit down in this space for 20 minutes, 5 days a week off the bat, I'm setting you up for failure probably. Especially if you've got a mind that's active and it's going, you're going to hit frustration real fast. So even for me, when I was going through the courses, I literally started at 5 minutes, 3 times a week. Okay, I know I have a touch of ADD. I know my mind is everywhere. When I get in silence, you know, that creative piece comes in, or I start thinking about, you know, that thing I said earlier that may have not been the best. So I knew that for myself, you know, just starting with small pieces was the way to go. And I have to tell you, even though I set my goal for 3 days a week, 5 minutes each time, there were weeks that I failed. And you just say, okay, well, just like, you know, diet or exercise plan, I'll do better this next time. And, you know, be kind and compassionate to yourself. Because in time it feels natural, but just like anything when you're beginning, it's not natural to sit and do that. Especially if you have children or partners or dogs. The second you get settled in, someone's going to be there to do something generally.
Oh yeah, that seems to be when everybody wants to send me a text message. So learn just to, yeah, it's because it's uncanny how they know, oh, Krista must be meditating, so I'm gonna text her. I definitely will turn off my phone and you know, just make some quiet space for myself, because you know, you have to just get quiet, and you know, it helps me to focus on something like, you know, some kind of visualization maybe. A lot of times I like to visualize myself like on a magic carpet, and I'm just floating in space on this magic carpet, and I'm relaxed, and that's helpful. Or I might visualize and not even have a candle, but just visualize a candle or the flame.
Yeah.
And just try to keep that. And then my breath, you know, in, out, just focusing on that. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And that's very helpful. And then if the thought comes in, just recognize it and let it go. Although that can be hard because you'll have the thought come in and then your mind takes off. And then you're 10 minutes later, like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be meditating.
Exactly. And I find that, you know, we all have different things that we love, right? So for me, I appreciate silent meditation. And like you're saying, I'll switch up routines. Like I'll do breath for a little while. And then when I start losing, you know, myself, I'll switch to a word or something like that and kind of switch up those patterns. But they have so many great applications out there now, like Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer's free. There are a lot of people that put out guided meditations. So if you're someone that, you know, does better to listening to a guided meditation, I wouldn't say that's bad, because again, if you're listening to someone doing that one thing, you're still getting the benefits of calming your nervous system, and you're not stressing yourself out trying to be like, oh my God, am I achieving this thing that for me might be intangible or unattainable at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Some people do better with a word, and it could be any word. It could be love. It could be the number one. Studies show the word doesn't necessarily matter, but you know, kind of the repetition and getting in that central nervous system deregulation does. Other people, it's going to be breath. So I would say to people that was a great point you brought up. If you're starting and you're just frustrated with, I'm trying to get this and it's not going, try another avenue, because that might be helpful as well.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. Yes, I do use some of those apps. I use Insight Timer. I do have Calm. I've got probably about 10 or 15 now. And there's so many different components within the app too. You can just listen to nature, or you can listen to music, or you can listen to a guided meditation. And same with YouTube. There's a lot of meditations, guided meditations, nature sounds, beautiful things with the video too of some nature that can be, it might just be, you know, an ocean with the waves coming in, and that can be very helpful to getting calm and relaxed and focused. So I would definitely, personally, I recommend different tools, and I use different things. Sometimes I'll use an app, or sometimes I'll do the YouTube, or sometimes I just want it totally quiet. I won't use anything at all. So, I think that helps keep it a little more interesting, and, you know, to change it up. So,
but no, we're all different. I don't want anybody listening to this think that there's some magic, because there's really no magic to it. It's a discipline, and you just kind of keep trying until you find your way, and then eventually it will become a practice. But I know for me, it probably took, from the time I first started meditating until I got into a good practice, was probably 2 years, to be perfectly honest with you. Because, you know, I realized in the beginning, I was working a lot, really intense work. I just come out of a divorce and stuff. And I was like, I need something to kind of feel a little bit better inside. So I found myself kind of going to yoga classes here and there, but not really establishing a pattern until much later. I had a health scare and health incident that kind of forced me to do some serious stress reduction. And even then, after that, it took a good year. So I think people that think, you know, I'm just going to fall into this. Sometimes that's the way it is, and people just love it and run with it. And other people, it's okay if you struggle for a little while until you find your space, but keep going.
Exactly. It's different for everyone. So what are some of the benefits of a regular meditation practice? So
at its heart, meditation is deregulating, downregulating the central nervous system, right? So when our nervous system is constantly engaged, cortisol is being put out. It's a great hormone if you want to gain a lot of weight and not sleep. So it's going to decrease cortisol level. It's going to help with your hippocampus, which is kind of where your long-term memory is going to be stored. If you're in, you know, constant tension, you're not going to have the ability to retain a lot of good, positive memories. Sleep is going to happen. Creativity, you become like a little bit more creative. Anxiety, of course, is gonna dip. So there's tons of just benefits across the board for the body. In those days when we were, you know, running down the savannah, being chased by the lion, our body doesn't know the difference between that lion that was going to eat us or that line at Walmart at 5 o'clock when there's one cashier and 400 people trying to check out. So meditation helps us give our body a way to just kind of downregulate to fit in a situation rather than have fight or flight constantly kicking in.
Because stress is stress.
Stress is stress. Stress is stress. I don't know if I ever told you how or why I actually got into meditation, but I used to live a very stressful life. I was over multi-million-dollar projects, lots of employees, and I used to tell people, you know, I thrive on stress. I thrive on it. Exactly. You know, you go to the job interview and they're like, what's your superpower? And mine is like, I can eat stress like nobody's business. And it was true until December of 2007. I went to work. I had a crazy day. I got off work and I had a headache that took me to my knees, my feet. Not exciting, but I ended up having a ruptured brain aneurysm. And I was out of work for about 6 or 8 weeks, and I was fine, no residual issues, except for when I get nervous, I lose my words. So imagine as an executive trying to give a State of the Union, if it will, to a board, right? So you sit up with a board, which is, it's kind of a stressful situation. You've got these faces looking at you, and I literally had one moment where I couldn't find my words. And the more I struggled to find them, the less they were there. And I'm sitting at this table with executives and I'm like, wow, this is my career limiting moment. I either have to figure out how to manage stress or I have to find a whole new career to support, my family. And I was a single mom at the time. So that just wasn't an option. So from there, I started, kind of getting into yoga, eating a little bit better, but meditation was the one thing, and is still the one thing that I think helps me be able to navigate all of these things that I'm juggling right now, because I can tell my body, okay, I'm getting to a point where I need to calm and pull it down. And then using simple breath techniques, simple meditation techniques, I'm able to continue to move forward. So that's that story, but that's how I got into where I do it. I do work with a lot of folks who have had brain injuries, kind of things like that, and it just kind of helps.
And so you have seen improvements in your brain functioning and results from your practice?
And it's not just, there's several studies out there that don't just help with like stress reduction meditation in the form of stress reduction secondary to brain injury, but as you get older, your synapses in your brains kind of slow down. And there are specific meditations that you can do that have shown in clinical studies to help kind of rebrand those brain cells, bring them back, and help with cognitive functioning over the long term, where people with dementia and decline have seen clinical proven results with that as well.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I remember that time in your life, actually.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing how you came through that. Seriously.
Yeah. But so yeah, it doesn't matter if it's diabetes or what it is. Giving yourself some self-compassion and some tools to kind of help regulate your body.
Well, and also something else I wanted to mention too, there's different forms of meditation. And I'm not just talking about like transcendental or those types, but like yoga is a form of meditation. Going for a walk in nature can be considered a form of meditation. Let me see, I put several down. Getting a massage, exercising, painting, if that's something you like to do. Just anything that quiets the mind and allows you to focus can get you into a meditative state.
Yep. So any of those examples, absolutely. The thing is, you want to be painting, you want to be fully present in your painting or your yoga or your walking. If you're talking to 3 or 4 people at the same time, you're not going to get that benefit. So if we think about it in terms of monotasking, when you're gardening or you're painting or whatever it is, be fully present in that space, in that moment.
Right. I agree. That makes sense. And we live in a society too where we're just so overstimulated all the time with, our cell phones and electronics and, traffic noise and just, EMFs, all those things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anything we can do to counter that, I think, is helpful.
it is.
Well, let's see. Are you teaching meditation classes at this time?
At this time, I'm not. At this time, I have another spa that we're getting ready to bring up in a few months. So most of my focus is with children, my day job, and then trying to get this new venture up off the ground. But if you ever want to come back and we can lead one or two quick little meditation sessions here, we could do that, or whatever you want to do.
Okay. And would you just talk a little bit about your shamanic energy healing? I'm curious about that.
Yes.
And I may have to have you back again for that.
No.
That's a whole other topic.
You see how I slid myself in there a second ago, right? So yeah, shamanic energy healing. When I started going down this path of meditation, and kind of coming out of the health situation that I came out of, I kind of just said, okay, God, whatever I'm supposed to learn about or do or whatever, I'm totally open to. I think prior to this, I probably would have been heavy on the science realm. That's where my degrees lie and my comfort level. But I was like, whatever it is that I need to experience or do here for myself or for healing, I'm totally open to just show the door. So meditation came in, and then, secondary to that, yoga, and did a lot of that. Yoga actually started in the temples a long time ago, and the folks were doing nothing but meditating all day, and they started seeing their bodies kind of wasting away. So yoga came secondary as kind of an exercise for health and wellness to that. So in my life, that went secondary as well. And I think Reiki popped in somewhere along the lines. And I was like, well, this is interesting, but I want to know more about it. And kind of like meditation, I didn't set out to be a meditation instructor. I just wanted to know more about it. So I was introduced to this concept of shamanic energy healing and kind of indigenous ways of how people healed before there was modern science. And it was just fascinating to me from both a psychological and a body systems perspective, because it really does take, your emotions, kind of where you've been in your past, along with body healing. And I started learning quite a bit about shamanic energy healing, which really at its core deals a lot with traumas. We all have traumas, and kind of working through those. I think the shamans were probably actually the first psychologists on the planet, because if you take two kids and they get lost from mom in the mall, one kid is going to be like, oh my God, that was the best thing that happened, let's do it again. And that second kid is going to be crying and like, oh my God. And they're going to, in shamanic culture, potentially carry a piece of that trauma with them that will later manifest as disease in the body. Mm-hmm. So these traditional folk methods kind of get to the heart of that intersection of mind, body, spirit medicine really well. I kind of played around with that for a couple of years, and then went into I got picked up for formal training about 1.5 to 2 years ago, and have been working with a psychologist here in Oklahoma City in a good group, using techniques from the Andes.
And is she a shaman?
She is.
Okay. I thought so.
Sorry.
Do you want to mention her name?
I don't right now, because I don't know how widely she advertises.
But have you seen benefits from that?
Absolutely. I've seen some amazing things both through her and with other groups around the country. It's amazing.
That's going back to ancient traditional, back to our roots, and back to holistic living and knowledge. I think that's where we're going. I think we're going to have to go back to that. I really do.
I do too. I've seen some incredible things through it. The system is a little controversial. Shamanic traditions, I think, have been around for something like 20,000 years. And it is important to have, mind, body, and spirit in alignment for health. And recognize, different people have different belief systems and stuff like that, and kind of incorporate that into what their belief systems and structures are. But I have seen some amazing things in Guatemala, in the middle of nowhere, healers working there, and people here as well. But it's still kind of a mystery tradition, mystery school. But there's a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, those ancient healing practices. And I think we need to start, combining them with, there is a place for traditional, conventional Western medicine, but as complementary, we need to bring that more into the healing practices. So that's part why I started this podcast, just to get more information out there to people. And a lot of things that are just second nature to me, I started realizing, that a lot of people had not even heard of some of these things or don't know anything about it, or, but I've been going down that path most of my life, and I've seen the benefits for these ancient healing practices for me in my life. So, anyway, but I would love to learn more about shamanic healing. And maybe I will.
Anytime you want, let me know. But yeah, you can do that.
I will. Well, do you want to mention a little bit about Longevity Medical Spa? What services you guys offer?
Oh yeah, everything and not fun. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, Longevity has everything from your typical dermal fillers, Botox, all of that, hormonal interventions. We've got so many FDA approved lasers. I think last count was something like 35. So tattoo removal, laser hair removal, fat body contouring, stuff like that. So we spend a lot of time here trying to help people look as good as they feel.
Well, great. I'm all about that. All about that. And you guys are expanding, I know, so, but we won't get too much into that, but good to hear you're expanding and growing. So that's very exciting. And you're kind of leading that up, aren't you?
Yeah. So we have an 11,000 square foot building coming in June. It'll be open in June of 2021. So we'll have some clinic space and day spa space, and then another medical spa location.
Well, good. I'll have to come and pamper myself. I believe is, for healing, it's very good to pamper yourself.
It is. Self-care is vital. Whatever.
Definitely. Was there anything we didn't talk about that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I want to thank you for letting me be on your podcast, and this was fun. I miss your face.
I know, it's good to see your face, and thank you so much for being here. And I love you. I always have. I think you're amazing, and we'll have you back anytime.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me.
All right. Well, hang on. Let me do my little close here. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Remember that health is wealth and nature is the best medicine. I'm Krista Townsend with Phoenix Rising. Please be sure to like and share my videos and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next time. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.